So this all right here is letting you know the lineage of the so-called ancient Israelites, right? And we're going to jump down to verse 44. And it read, And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all of the land of Egypt, okay, which is bondage, all right? So that's the new king after they defeated the Cushites that was in that land. And then that's when they arose, the people that's of Alexander the Greek and Ptolemy's lineage. Okay, so he had the people in bondage down there. That's why he told this to Joseph. He said, I am Pharaoh, and without thee, which is me, shall no man in this land lift up his hand or foot in all of the land of this region, which is bondage. Okay, 45. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphnath-Paneah. Zaphnath-Paneah. All right. And he gave him to wife Asnath, the daughter of the Potiphar's priest of On. And Joseph went out over all of the land of Mizraim, okay, which is that region. Okay, so that's letting you know that the Pharaoh, okay, which were the Romans, ultimately, they gave that wife to Joseph, okay, which was Asnath, okay, of the Potiphar's priest, all right, that was a part of the Egyptian people, okay. He wasn't an Israelite priest. He was one of their false diviners, okay. They're so-called false prophets, right? So that just goes to show, just as today, you know, and I was telling a brother one day about that. I was saying, it seemed like when our people joined themselves, to the so-called powers that shouldn't be, the so-called modern day Egyptians, all right, this is why they call this place modern day Egypt. Whenever you join yourselves to people, whether it be through, secret societies, or if you join their organizations, which is their fraternities, their sororities, or what have you, or if you're in their entertainment business, being a public jester, like unfortunately most of our people are, to be so-called successful, you have to have a wife of their ethnicity, of their nation on your arm. Okay, so in order for Joseph to be, a part of their team, so to speak, to be associated with their people, to be a part of their organization, he had to have an Egyptian wife, okay, which was Arsneth. Okay, she wasn't, a Cushite. She wasn't a so-called people of Mizraim. She was an Egyptian, and which was ultimately a part of the Romans. Just like I said in previous videos, you can't say that, the people of so-called Egypt was dark melanated people, because, that word Egypt doesn't have a Hebraic definition to it, but in the Latin, in the Greek, it's known as a place of bondage, right? Which was for our people, Israel, for 400 plus years, right? So being that, the word Egypt is a part of the Latin language, you can't really say that the Egyptians, so to speak, or the people of that region was dark melanated people, because that wasn't even a word in that language there. Okay, so when it says that Joseph was given Asenath, which was an Egyptian woman, to wife, he ultimately had a Roman wife when he was in second in command in Egypt, just as it goes on today. A majority of so-called successful people within our nation of people, if they're joined to these organizations in this society, a majority of them have so-called modern day Egyptian wives, okay, which is pale white people, okay. And the reason how the Romans, which is ultimately Esau, became pale or white, which is not a racist thing. This is a truth thing that I'm speaking here. It's because they mixed with the cursed Canaanites, the Hittites and the Hivitites in the book of Genesis chapter 35 and 36, I believe. Okay, so that's how Esau ultimately became pale or white from the color red that he was initially born as, right? So back in the book of Genesis here, as it's written in 45, and Pharaoh called Joseph name Zaphnath-Paneah, and he gave him to wife Asnath, the daughter of the Potiphar's priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt, man, right? Let's go to chapter 46, still in the book of Genesis. And we're going to jump down to verse 18. And it read, These are the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah his daughter, and these she bare unto Jacob, even 16 souls. Okay, so once again, that's letting you know that your soul is your body, because she bared unto him 16 souls, which is, in other words, 16 children, right? Verse 19, the sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, which was Joseph and Benjamin. All right, there you have it. Verse 20, and unto Joseph in the land of bondage were born Manasseh and Ephraim, which Asnath, the daughter of the Potiphar's priest of On, bare unto him. Okay, so right there, that's letting you know that, with Joseph, when, he was in second of command down in the land of Egypt, when the Pharaoh gave him, Asnath to wife, he birthed two sons, which was Manasseh and Ephraim, okay, which was from an unholy union according to the law. Okay, so they was mamzers, so to speak, because Asnath wasn't a Hebrew Israelite woman. She wasn't a Hebrew Israelite wife. So, according to the law, a mamzer will not make it into the kingdom of heaven. I think it's in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 23, I believe. So, like I was having a conversation with a brother one time, I was saying, if you're going to say that the mamzers, and especially the bastards, right, the children that's born of men seed from another nation with an Israelite woman, if you want to say that the mamzers is not going to make it into heaven, okay, well, consider a tribe chart. If you have Joseph, who had two sons, which was Ephraim and Manasseh, from his Egyptian wife, well, how do they count as a part of the 12 tribes chart when you had Judah? He had two sons by Tamar, okay, and Tamar gave him what's their names, Zerah and Pharez. So that's from a holy union, because Tamar, she was an Hebrew. Okay, she was from the Eber lineage. I can't say the Israelites, because the Israelites wasn't formed yet. So, but she was from the chosen lineage of the Most High, from the Eber lineage, right, which is Hebrew ultimately. So Tamar, she was of the chosen lineage. Of course, Judah was of the chosen lineage. Okay, and they birthed Zerah and Pharez. So how can you say that the mamzers will not make it into the kingdom of heaven according to the law, right? In the book of Deuteronomy, the 23rd chapter, I believe. So you're going to exclude Zerah and Pharez, in which the tribe that Hamashiach came from. As a matter of fact, if you go into the book of St. Matthew, chapter 1, it lets you know that Hamashiach came from the lineage of Pharez, which is of Judah's son. Okay, so how can you exclude those two sons and then add Ephraim and Manasseh, which was born of Joseph and of the Egyptians, ultimately the Romans? That don't make no sense. So that's the reason why I don't agree with the 12 tribes chart anymore, because you can't go by the law and say Mamzers won't make it into heaven, okay? And then you turn around and say Ephraim and Manasseh is a part of the 12 tribes chart, but then turn and say Judah's sons, Zerah and Pharez, is not a part of the 12 tribes chart. That don't make no sense, right? And they're both grandsons of Jacob, because Joseph is a son of Jacob. Judah is a son of Jacob. Judah had Zerah and Pharez. Joseph had Ephraim and Manasseh from an unholy union. Okay, but you say they are part of the 12 tribes chart, but Pharez and Zerah, in which Hamashiach came from, the lineage of Pharez, is not a part of the 12 tribes chart. Like, make that make sense. How does that make sense, man? Right? So that's the reason why I don't agree with the 12 tribes chart, man. Right? Now, getting back to this. As it says here, verse 20 again from the top. And unto Joseph in the land of bondage were born Manasseh and Ephraim, which Aseneth, the daughter of the Potipharus priest of On, bare unto him. So they was Mamzer children, man. Okay, so something ain't right there. How can you include these two sons, but you leave out Judah's sons, in which he had with Tamar? Even if she was a harlot, she still was of the chosen lineage of people, which of the Eber lineage. So you can't exclude Pharez and Zerah.